Now that you've set up your own profile in your WordPress site, you may want to invite some other people to contribute or administer the site as well. There are several reasons why you may want to do this. You may be working in a team and multiple people should have access to the site, or you may want to invite someone in to contribute to the site so you don't have to write all your content. There's also situations where you want to let the public register for your site so they can get access to logged information or can store their own information and interact with people through the site itself. WordPress allows you to register as many users as you want within the site, and you can assign roles to each of these users so you can control what they can and cannot do when they are logged in. We'll cover roles and capabilities in the next movie. In this movie, we'll look at how to add and manage new users. So let's say I have a coworker named Amy that I want to add to my site. To add a new user, I can go to the admin panel, find users, and under all users, click the Add New button. I can also go directly to the Users button and click Add New, or I can simply go to the toolbar, hover over New, and select User. In the Add New User panel, I need to give the new user a username, and I need to provide the email address to the user. Now you'll remember, this is the email address that the user will use to get access to the content, WordPress will use to email content to the user, and WordPress will tie to the profile picture and other information from Gravatar. So make sure you're using the correct email address for this new user. You don't need to fill out the rest of the information here, first name, last name, and website. That can be done by the user when they register, or you can do it later. What you do need to provide is a password. So here I'm going to put in a password. And now WordPress will send an email to Amy telling her she has become a subscriber to the site. If I want to, I can check this box. And now WordPress will also send the password to Amy so she can log in directly. Now, there's a lot of discussion on whether or not it's a good idea to send passwords by email, but I tend to check this box anyway, because whenever I add a new user to a WordPress site, I always tell her you need to go in to your profile and change your password immediately, because otherwise I know their password, and that's not a good idea. Finally, I need to set a role for my new user. Like I said, we'll cover roles in the next movie, so here I'm just going to change this to contributor and click Add New User. Now that the new user is created, I can see her listed under users, and I can go in and edit her information. To edit it, I simply hover over her name, click on the name, or click on Edit. And here I get the same user profile editor that I got for myself. I can change whether or not this user sees the visual editor. I can change the admin color scheme, the keyboard shortcuts, and the toolbar, and I can also provide information about the user. I can get access to all this information because I am the administrator. The user will also be able to get access to this information, but any user that's on the site that is not an administrator and not Amy will not be able to get access to her information. That way, if you register a new user and you know that they're not going to configure this information, you can do it for them and they don't have to worry about it. Or if the site is acting in a funny way, let's say it doesn't show up the toolbar, you can log in and then go and change the setting here to make sure that that user can see the toolbar. Now, earlier I mentioned that in some cases you may want to let the general public register to your site. If you want to enable that function, you need to go to Settings and General, and here you find a box called Membership. If you check this box, then anyone can register on your site. If you let people register, you also need to give them a new role, and by default, that role is subscriber. Being a subscriber to the site just means that you can log into the site. You can only log in and change your own profile. You can't do anything else. But there are several reasons why you may want to do this. For one, you can restrict commenting on your site only to people who are registered on the site. So to comment, you have to register. Another reason might be that you've made all the posts or pages on your site private, and you only want people with access to be able to see those posts or pages. A third reason is that if you limit access to content or commenting on your site, and you force people to register, you can get information about them, you can email them, and if they're not acting nice, you can go and delete their user profiles off your site, or even block their user profiles by changing their passwords. That way, you have control over who gets access to your site, but you can still leave it open for people to register. If you have users on your site that you no longer want to have registered, or they no longer want to contribute to your site, you can also delete an existing user. To delete a user, simply hover over their name and click Delete. Now you may wonder, what happens if that user has already created posts? Well, you can see it right here. If the user has created and published posts on your site, WordPress will need to attribute those posts to an existing user that is not being deleted. Here you have two options. You can either choose to delete all the posts that this user created, or you can attribute all the posts to a separate user in your site. This is very important because all posts created under WordPress need to have a user assigned to them. So if you delete a user, you need to reassign all those posts. But WordPress makes sure to remind you so you don't have to worry when you delete new users.